Welcome to Black Spot. Today we're talking about India Post, an institution that for generations has been built on trust. But right now it's facing a story of, well, tragedy and betrayal.
So where do we start this story? Not with charts or numbers, but with a voice. This is what Kaushalya, a woman from Bageshwar, said. Her life savings, just gone. And they vanish from the one place she was always taught to trust more than any other, her local post office.
10 lakh rupees. That's how much a single postal worker is accused of embezzling. Think about that. The life savings of almost 50 villagers, just wiped out. And this wasn't some complex, high-tech cyber heist. No, this was something far simpler and, honestly, far more personal. A complete breach of trust.
So yeah, it's a profound betrayal. And to really get the scale of this tragedy, we have to look past the numbers and focus on the human cost. We're talking about small, regular deposits, money for a kid's education, a pension someone was counting on to survive, just vanishing.
And the stories behind the numbers? They're just devastating. Take Kaushalya. That money was for her children's future, saved 1 rupee at a time from selling milk. Or Mohini Devi, who's 80 years old. That was her entire safety net, scraped together from a tiny pension. The village had put it perfectly. They did everything they were supposed to do. They saved, they deposited their money regularly, but in the end, that trust was completely broken.
So, you might be asking, why does one local fraud cause such huge shockwaves? Well, it's because this isn't just about one post office. It strikes right at the heart of what India Post represents, a pillar of trust for the entire nation. You really have to understand the two sides of India Post to get this. It's kind of like two different worlds in one. On one side, you have that single, humble, rural post office. For millions of people in remote areas, that building is everything. It's their bank, their connection to the world, a symbol of the government's promise. And then, on the other side, you have this colossal network. We're talking about the largest postal network on the entire planet, a symbol of reliability for over 150 years.
And look, these villagers weren't just stuffing cash into an envelope. No way. They were investing their hopes into these government-backed schemes. Things like the Sukanya Samriddhi account for their daughter's future, or the Senior Citizen Savings Scheme for retirement. The whole reason they chose the post office was because they believed their money was absolutely 100% safe, backed by the full faith of the government.
But here's the thing. The story in Bageshwar, it's not just one isolated crack. When you start to look a little closer, you see that it's part of a bigger, more troubling pattern. It suggests that the very foundation of this trust, it might be a lot more fragile than we think.
And the evidence for this pattern is pretty damning. You see similar scams popping up in other nearby villages. You hear about a 32 lakh fraud investigation that's just been sitting there pending for over a year. There's this growing feeling among people, like resident Govind Singh said, that when fraud gets exposed, the system just shields its own. This isn't just a few bad apples, you see. It points to a failure of oversight so big that even the RBI, the nation's central bank, had to step in and penalize the India Post Payments Bank. And even the Supreme Court has weighed in on this kind of thing. They made it absolutely clear in a similar case. They said, hey, just giving the money back, that's not enough. It doesn't just magically erase the misconduct. Because the relationship between a customer and a bank, or a post office, is all about mutual trust. You can't just fix the numbers on a spreadsheet. The real damage, the broken trust, that's much, much deeper.
Okay, so here's where the story gets really interesting and kind of contradictory. At the very same time these cracks in the foundation are showing, India Post is also in this all-out race to modernize. We're talking a full-speed sprint towards a super high-tech, profitable future.
Just look at this timeline. It tells a story of incredible acceleration. It's been around since 1854, right? But look what's happened recently. A massive payments bank launched in 2018. A complete tech reinvention, IT 2.0, rolling out by 2025. And get this, a target to go from being a cost center to a profit center by 2029. This is absolutely not your grandparents' post office.
And a huge piece of this new puzzle is something called DigiPin. So what is it? Basically, it's a unique digital address for every single home and business in India. Think of it like a super accurate GPS coordinate for your front door. It's a game changer, designed to solve that classic last-mile delivery problem, especially in remote areas where addresses can be, well, a little chaotic.
So, the game plan is pretty straightforward.
First, you build a brand new, modern technology platform. Then you beef up security with things like OTP-based deliveries and QR code payments. You partner up with the big players, Amazon, Flipkart, and finally, you roll out new, faster services like Speed Plus Post that promise 24-hour delivery. The goal? To use its incredible, unrivaled reach to become a major player in India's massive logistics market.
And all of this leaves India Post at a major crossroads. You've got these two very different realities, these two massive forces operating inside the very same organization.
Think of it like this. India Post is trying to run two engines at the same time. You've got the public service engine. This is the heart, the soul of the whole thing. It's the rural network, the saving schemes. It's the reason people have trusted it for over a century. And then you have the commercial logistics engine. This one is all about speed, technology, and profit. It's built to go head-to-head with the big private courier companies.
So, that's the big question, isn't it? As India Post floors the accelerator on its commercial engine, trying to become this profitable tech giant, can it also fix the broken trust from stories like the one in Bageshwar? Can it race towards the future without leaving behind the very people who have always been its soul? We've put this analysis together using reporting and data from a number of sources to give you the full picture. It really shows an institution at an absolutely critical moment in its history.